One of the biggest lies in digital marketing and search engine optimization is the importance that people place on page speed. Not just Google PageSpeed or any other page speed metric Google has, its PageSpeed Insights tool, but even page speed in general. And I came across this experiment from Brian Dean, a very well-known SEO and digital marketer. He did this experiment a couple of years ago to see, well, how much does page speed actually matter? How important is it really? And I want to share this. And then I'm going to give you my take on it. And if you are obsessing over having a lightning fast site or getting past all the page speed metrics, Google PageSpeed Insights, other tools, if you are obsessing over that, this should bring you comfort. If you have a client who's obsessing over that, this should give you comfort. And then hearing this, well, it should allow you to focus on the things that matter, such as controlling how people feel when they land on your page within the first 2 to 3 seconds, which I think is the most important factor. But so this was a test. He was ranking number 8 on Google for SEO tips. When somebody searches SEO tips, his page was number 8 on Google on his website, Backlinko. And he had terrible scores on Google PageSpeed Insights. 28 out of 100 on desktop, 13 out of 100 on mobile. On web page tests, the time to start rendering was 2.2 seconds. The time to first byte was 0.2 seconds. Then the entire load time was 40 seconds. So the time it took for the entire page to be loaded was 40 seconds. And yeah, just terrible Google PageSpeed Insights scores, ranking number 8 for SEO tips. So him and his CTO, his chief technical officer, went in and improved the page, made it a lot faster. They didn't improve the content of the page. The content stayed the same. The H1 stayed the same. The page title stayed the same. All the meta tags stayed the same. Literally all the content stayed the same. However, they removed the images to make it faster. They removed the comments section to make it faster. They made a bunch of technical improvements to make it faster. And they ended up with a Google PageSpeed Insights score that was 100 out of 100. 100 out of 100. And their load time went from 40 seconds to 1.68 seconds, their total load time. Their time to start rendering went from 2.2 seconds to 0.7 seconds. And time to first byte stayed pretty much the same at 0.23 seconds. So it was noticeably faster for the page to start rendering. And then the load time for everything to be loaded went from 40 seconds to 1.68 seconds. But the PageSpeed Insights scores, they were failing before, and then they went to 100 out of 100. And so he wanted to see, would this make any difference? And he waited and he waited and he waited and he saw zero difference. Zero difference. He had the same amount of visitors when he started before the experiment and after the experiment. He had the same amount of visitors from Google before the experiment and after the experiment. And they found that this mattered so little that they ended up going back to the previous page that had comments and that had images, because that was more important. And this is something that I've seen myself so many times, is that lots of sites that rank really, really well for valuable keywords actually have failing Google PageSpeed Insights scores. So what's most important is how long it takes for the page to start rendering. How long does it actually take for you to start seeing content on the page that you can read? Because your brain needs something to do. You don't want to wait. You want to be able to read text while the images load. Your brain needs to be occupied. But if it's just nothing on the page for a long time, completely blank, that's the type of thing that will increase bounce rate. That's the type of thing that will have people returning to the search engine results pages. So well-performing sites that perform well within Google search, text will render pretty quickly. But it might take a long time for the rest of the page to load, and that's perfectly okay. You might have bad PageSpeed Insights scores because of that. And that's perfectly okay, as long as your site can actually load quickly. Here's what you need to focus on instead. And I talked about this a little bit yesterday, and I want to touch back upon it. It's just so important. I've come to the conclusion, I was thinking about it yesterday, after I made yesterday's podcast, and I really think it's just the most important thing. It's how do people feel when they first land on your page? Before they start scrolling, literally right when they start reading, within the first 2 to 3 seconds, how do they feel? How do they feel because of the image that they see? Maybe they don't even think about it. They don't think about it consciously, but they see it and makes them feel a certain way. And then they read the H1, the top heading. If there's a subheading, they read that, and they read the first sentence. And within that moment, how do they feel? And if they don't feel that this page is for them, then you have failed. That's the most important thing. Very few digital marketers harp on just how important that is. And yesterday I compared it to TikTok. It's so much like TikTok. And people's brains, because Instagram Reels and TikTok and YouTube Shorts, they're all the same. And our brains are trained to get instant gratification now. So people want to be instantly satisfied when they land on a web page as well. That's how our brains are trained now. We need instant gratification, instant satisfaction. Most websites will be fast enough. Test it yourself, test it on Wi-Fi, test it on mobile. Have friends. If you have friends in different parts of the world, test that, and then focus and optimize on how your searcher, you have a target keyword. Think about the person searching that target keyword. How will that person feel when they land on your page? And that is the most important thing in search engine optimization that so few people actually talk about. And it's not page speed, and most people don't need to worry about page speed. I like Web Page Test a lot more than Google PageSpeed Insights, webpagetest.org, and run a test on a few of your pages and see how long it takes for your first bit of text to start loading. That's when people's brains will stop screaming, looking at either a blank page or a page with some pixels on it. Their brains need to be occupied. So you can use webpagetest.org to see how long it takes for text to start loading. If you want to worry about how fast your site and pages are, that's what I would recommend instead of Google PageSpeed Insights. I also like how Web Page Test shows, it gives you screenshots for every couple of milliseconds on what your site looks like each couple of milliseconds. And then you can see yourself when items on the page start to load. Google PageSpeed Insights does it too, but for most digital marketers, it's just a lot harder to understand. So that's why I recommend Web Page Test. But yeah, I wanted to share this experiment because it mirrors what I have seen. It mirrors what so many others have seen. And it is a direct test. How much does page speed matter? The answer was, if your stuff is already loading fast enough, and then you get it to load a lot faster, it actually makes no difference. And then what's going to move the needle more is improving the content, improving how people feel when they first land on a page. And that is all for episode 661. Wow, 661 of my daily digital marketing show. 661 days in a row, no days missed. Very proud, no days missed. If you want more search engine optimization, I just dropped a new landing page at compactkeywords.com. If you've checked out the course before, and the landing page before this landing page, completely new, everything on it is brand new. It shows what Compact Keywords pages don't look like and what they do look like. And there's a lot on it, and it's super useful. You're going to love it. And it's helping lots of people get customers, users, and leads with SEO. It's not about blog SEO. It's about literally creating scenario-based pages that drive revenue. That's what Compact Keywords is about. That is all for this episode of the podcast. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for listening. I will talk to you again tomorrow. Bye now.